Hello and welcome to the Gaming Zone. I am your host, Chriz, aka The Mole, and joining me from Rising the Airwaves is James Phoenix,
Yo, yo.
and from Showtime, Marcus Shadow.
Yo.
And today, it's part of the Power Ranger month. We're going to be discussing the Power Ranger games, which ones we liked, which ones we didn't like. So, which one should we start with first? I'll let you two vote.
I say we
Uh,
talk
I,
about the good.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the bad.
Gee, thanks.
Burn.
I'm kidding. We'll talk about the good. Marcus,
Mhm.
take us off because you chose it first.
Sure. Of the games that I've played, and I've not played any of the PlayStation games, but of the games that I've played, my favorite so far is Power Rangers the movie, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, to be exact, the Genesis version, and it's primarily because they got the Rangers right. Yeah, unlike the Super Nintendo version, you can't morph in the middle of it, so you don't play as the Rangers themselves before they morph, but they got the Rangers right, the actual Rangers. And what I mean by that is the Black Ranger has the cannon. His charge move is he fires the axe cannon. Thank you. And all the other ones are accurate too, the Pink Ranger with the bow, etc., etc. So it feels like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You feel like you're one of the Rangers when you're playing as them. And
I will,
sword
I
fight is
will,
cool.
I will point out that would make the Pink Ranger inaccurate if she used a bow, because in the movie she uses a whip.
Really.
I just, sorry, you're gonna be posting this on Ranger Vision. You know someone would nitpick that.
Right.
Think I might as well beat them to it.
But no, I absolutely love that game. It's fun. Admittedly, I didn't beat it, but that's because I kind of did that myself by choosing the Falcon Zord in the final fight. Which anyone who's played the game knows, Falcon Zord makes it a little bit harder because let's face it, you're a Falcon, you're not the entire Megazord, you're gonna get stomped unless you're good.
Mhm. I thought the Falcon Sword was cheap because you could just shoot it with missiles repeatedly from a distance.
And until the very final part of the fight where he goes all cheap on you and just keeps grabbing you and drains like a third of your life every time.
Yep.
Ah.
So I'll say from one useless bird to another. What was yours, James? It was a perfect segue.
uh-huh. I'll be honest. I haven't played a whole lot of Power Rangers games over my years, unfortunately. Um, I've played a little bit here and there. The two games that I've played the most are two of the SNES games: the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers SNES game and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, the game SNES game. More so the movie, the game, because I still own that one today. Unfortunately, many years ago, I lost the original one in a friend's house and I never got it back, so I only have the movie one today. Um, I personally like I said, I have not played any of the Sega ones as Marcus and Chris have, so I can't comment on that. But I do like the SNES movie game. It's really fairly realistic. The characters are well designed given the bit rate of the day. They all have their own unique attack style, even if all the attacks basically do the same thing. They have their own styles. Um, and I think it's really cool in that you get to play as them in their human forms before they morph. You start off each level in the Ranger's human form, and you can choose a different Ranger for each level. And you start off in the human form, beating up putties and avoiding obstacles. Collecting lightning to charge a power meter. Once the power meter is fully charged, you can hit the X button, which will cause your Ranger to morph. And when that happens, your Ranger will initially pull out the morpher, a la it's morphin' time, and a big close-up shot of sort of just like in the show where like the morpher and the Ranger's in the center of it, and they're holding their morpher and they're shouting out, Tyrannosaurus or whatever it is, actually pops up on the screen with a much more detailed version of the character. That looks like it's probably just an actual picture that was kind of digitized. And then it cuts back to the player, and they hold the morph up in the sky, and then they morph into their Ranger form. And I think it's really cool that you can choose when to do that in the level, up until you reach the boss of the level, at which point you morph automatically if you haven't. And it just makes it more realistic. In addition to that, so there are some putties that and other monsters that require 2 hits to kill or more. And when you morph, stuff that takes multiple hits takes less hits. Like, if something normally takes 2 hits to kill in human form, you can kill it with 1 hit in morph form. I think that makes it really realistic that the Rangers are more powerful in their morphed forms. There's a very wide variety of bosses, monsters from the show. Mirror Maniac, Skelerina, Cannon Top, Magnet Brain, several others. Ivanus is the final boss, and it's a pretty good boss fight. The downside is there are no Megazord fights in the game. They chose not to put them in the SNES version, unlike the SNES version of the original MMPR SNES version. But overall, I just think it's a really good game. The characters that have unique attacks. They look like themselves, and they look well distinguished from each other. Like I said, the ability to morph, which also kills everything on the screen. So if you're in a pinch, you can do that to save yourself.
You also
And
forgot
plus,
to mention that when you morph, it refills your health.
That too. You also get full health when you morph, which is handy if you're on your last hit for the life. Also, another cool thing about that is if you manage to get enough lightning bolts to recharge your power meter while you're morphed, you can have 2 options. Number 1, if you reach full power while morphed, your power meter will start flashing as it does when you're in human form to morph, but in morph form it will start automatically draining itself. For the duration of time that you have power in the meter, your character will automatically attack with their trademark weapon. When you hit the attack button, Tommy uses Saba, Rocky the Power Sword, Adam the Battle Axe, etc., etc. Adam does not use it in Blaster mode that I recall, unfortunately, but yeah, what you gonna do?
You're gonna play the Genesis version.
Yeah, well. Anyway, that's it's pretty cool. You can they automatically use the weapon. You don't have to select it or anything. At that point, you can automatically use the weapon, and at any point while it's flashing and draining, you can hit the X button, the morph button, the X button again, and the Ranger will perform a super attack that will most likely annihilate everything on the screen, or if you're fighting a boss, do significant damage to the boss. I know, like, when you're White Ranger Tommy, who I play as more often than not, he spins Sam around and slams it in the ground, and there's explosions all over the screen, and it triggers a bunch of different stuff, things like that. You can also do super moves in your human form. And anytime if you have power in your bar, you can hit X, and your character will do a super attack. Like, the one that sticks out of my head is Billy, like, crouches down and then throws big boulders out from over his head. I don't know where the hell he gets them. But that's his attack. And you can do that anytime as long as you don't have to have full power for that. Anytime you have power in your bar, press X and it'll do that. And it'll drain some power out of your bar, but you can do that. So that's cool too. I believe you can also do those kind of super moves while you're morphed. If you're building up power, you can hit X to do some kind of move like that. I don't know about the other Rangers. In morphed form for Tommy, it's an Ninjetti corkscrew kick or something similar. He jumps in the air and does a spin kick to the enemy in front of you or the direction you're facing. I don't know what it is for the others. But it is pretty cool. So I really enjoyed the game. I've beaten it a couple of times. It's really hard, though. I will warn you. If you play this game, be prepared to die a lot. The only way I've beaten it is potentially 2-player, which does make it significantly easier. But what I did was I would plug in 2 controllers, play as first player until I ran out of lives, and then on my last continue run out of lives. And if I was down to 1 hit, I would summon in the second player, let the first player die, and then play through the second player's full ranking of lives and continues. That was the only way I was ever able to beat it. I could not beat it on 1 player, and it was too hard. Because in the first level is easy enough, but as you get to later levels, there's more and more enemies on the screen. They're coming from different directions. It's harder to avoid the attacks, primarily because there's only so much you can do with your Ranger. You can jump, you can crouch, and you can move from side to side. And you can use L and R to flip from forescreen to back screen if you're in an area that has both. Other than that, there's not a whole lot you can do except try to back up and kill the enemy before it attacks you, which is really hard to do. Yeah. So, like, the first... I can easily, like, even last night, I picked the game up. I haven't not played it for years. I got through the first 3 levels. The third level gave me a little trouble. That's your snowboard, surfboard level, which is kind of hard. But the first 3 levels I can usually get through without a problem. The 4th one's not bad. That's on a train, and you have to fight a locomotive at the end, and then other stuff off the train. But I think the enemy for that one is Magnet Brain. But it's after the first, say, 4 levels, it gets near impossible unless you're really, really good. It is really hard. So I do enjoy the game. From what I remember, the original game when I had it, the original MMPR game was pretty cool. It did not have as many features as this game. In that game, you automatically played as your ranger demorphed, fought through a level, and when you got to the monster, the player automatically morphed, and you beat up the monster. I always remember the first level was Eye Guy. Always fun. And that was pretty cool. And that did end with Megazord battles. The Megazord fought, if I recall, there were two different monsters the Megazord fought. The Dragon Sword was not in the game. But
you enjoyed the movie game,
yes.
which is good.
Yeah, I did enjoy the game. Like I said, the first game was cool too, because that had Megazord fights, and it was a Megazord, and there were two different monsters that you could potentially fight. And then once you had beaten that, either by beating that or putting in a code, you could unlock the Megazord fights as a two-player versus mode, where either the two monsters could fight or Megazord versus one of the monsters, which is kind of cool. So that was a nice little bonus. And that is a fun game, playing as different rangers and seeing the different things. That one had Trinity Sacrifice in it, so that was cool. It was a good standard game for the series, although the movie game definitely improved on it in quite a few ways. So, yeah, I like the movie the game. I haven't really played. I think I played the Time Force game once. I don't remember much about that, but other than that, I haven't really played any other Power Ranger games. So, back to you guys.
I'll admit I've played an unfortunate amount of them, but my favorite one is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the Sega Mega Drive, or Genesis for you people, which is, but basically it was a fighting game. I really loved that. It was a great way to get kids into the fighting game genre. And I remember as a kid, at the same time I played that, and that was like pretty much one of my first fighting games I played as a little kid playing it. It was fun, it was easy. You could get through it in like one day easily. It was awesome. And they also include stuff like you could beat the Green Ranger, and then the Green Ranger joins your team, like just like in the show. So it's like beat the evil Green Ranger, he comes, and then you get Dragon Zord with him as well for the Zord fights. It has two player, which is fun. And like I said, overall the controls and combat and stuff for it are done really well. It's not like a broken cheap combat game. It's actually got a decent fighting mechanic.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's pretty standard for its day. A lot of charge moves, but yeah, that's a fun game too. If you're more into the classic Power Ranger, like with the Green Ranger, that's probably the way to go. Like I said, I really like the movie one. And just for those who are wondering, the movie game on the Genesis is a beat 'em up, side-scrolling like Final Fight style, like the Super Nintendo one. So I throw that out there. I didn't realize we were actually going to go into detail and describe the games, James.
I didn't realize we weren't. Nobody gave me any guidelines. Sorry. This is why when I do videos, I set guidelines beforehand saying this is what we're going to talk about. This is how we're going to structure it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Genesis version, from what I've heard from Marcus, is significantly different. They work in a number of angles from the show before the movie events kick in. Things like the power transfer of white light.
Yeah, they basically skip over most of the movie, to be honest. But it is cool because you get to play through, not necessarily white light, but it's more events immediately after white light because you fight Sentinel or Scarlet Sentinel and then the power transfer. But it is cool.
Well, I was just saying what I read online, and they said white light, so whatever. They lied.
Yeah, and like I said, it all comes down with this, which is why there's three of us. It all comes down to what type of game you want to play. And to be fair with the Power Ranger games, none of them ever broke boundaries.
No.
They were all pretty much straight to the standard. Even the side-scrolling ones, they're pretty much Streets of Rage clones.
One character I wish I could have played in the original Power Rangers game on the Genesis, and I don't know if you can in the multiplayer because I didn't play the multiplayer, is the evil Green Ranger, because he has the Sword of Darkness, which gives him some slightly different moves that makes him incredibly cheap.
It does, but if he's incredibly cheap, I believe I don't remember exactly. It's been years since I played that. I believe he would just be for the boss fight, but you'd get to play as regular Green Ranger in normal first mode. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing something along the lines of that Mega Drive fighting game redone in HD, like the size of the roster of something like Marvel v Capcom 3, with people from the various series. That'd be awesome. But we shall move on to the stuff we liked least. Which was your worst Power Rangers game, Jim?
As I've said, I have not played very many, so I really can't attest too much. But I've seen some different ones, and in terms of seeing footage of them and some things online. But I really don't know. I like I said, I haven't played much beyond the SNES games. Although from what I've heard and seen, because I did watch full videos of all cutscenes on YouTube, Super Legends looked like a piece of crap.
Yeah,
It was.
And just because somebody uploaded all the cutscenes in order on YouTube, and I watched the cutscenes because I didn't think knew I was probably never going to actually play the game. And well, I agree with the concept of the game. There's a time threat, and going back in time to different points in Ranger history to help Rangers fight off the threat and maintain history. That's a great concept. They executed it like shit. They had no real voice actors. From what I'm told, the game wasn't all that good.
The gameplay wasn't that
It-
bad. It was pretty much like the SNES beat 'em ups. It's a
Yeah.
Okay.
Streets of Rage clone.
Well, I was just told that they didn't have original voice actors and the plot was weak at different points, but I just told it wasn't just really well in concept. It was a great game. It wasn't all that good in execution. So, like I said, I had not played it, so I won't say for sure. But it sounds like it really didn't meet the level it potentially could have if it had been done properly.
But I'm gonna put it to both of you two.
Mhm.
The fact it has bad acting and weak story does not make it more essentially Power Rangers than any other game.
Yes, but
We're
I'm
all
going to
fairly-
agree with Mr. Phoenix over there because that is my least favorite game is Super Legends as well. I have not played the PC version or the was it DS version or whatever, but I played the PS2 version. But yeah, basically the gameplay was pretty solid. It's your standard, like the Power Rangers the movie game. It's a side scroller beat 'em up, pretty standard stuff. But therein lies its weakness. It's standard. And when you're doing Power Rangers, you can't go standard. And what I mean by standard is you're essentially playing clones of all the characters. Like literally every character is the exact same. Yeah, their attacks look a little different, but they do the exact same thing. There is no variation in the characters and what they can and cannot do. And of course, the lack of voice acting, as James pointed out, kind of adds to the staleness and the non-uniqueness of the game. And one thing that Mole had a problem with this game that I kind of agree with too, that just really drove it down even further into the gutter, is the fact that, as James mentioned, the concept of it was to go through different periods of Ranger history. Yet there's some weird omissions as to characters they used, and it's like, well, if you're going to go through Ranger history, there's certain characters that have to be there. Tommy, who never made an appearance in that game, and that just boggles the mind. Except he does.
appear on the DS.
I was gonna say, doesn't he show up in one of them as like a call-in character? He's like relegated to sidekick.
Yeah, on the DS he's relegated to sidekick.
And so is Adam, right?
Twice. At least twice, because he appears as the Forever Red spirits on the DS and as the Green Ranger. But they're non-playable character helper things,
Right.
and it's stupid.
And it wasn't Adam relegated to the sidekick as well?
I don't think Adam appears as a sidekick. He may do. I don't think he does.
Just like you're gonna go through certain areas or certain histories, points in history of the Power Rangers, and you're not gonna have certain Rangers. That's kind of a slap to the fans. And yeah, it was bad. As a Power Rangers game, no, it was the worst. As a game, it was not bad. It was actually a pretty good game.
Yeah, I will also say, but yeah, I was gonna say, basically, my opinions on Super Legends. The story is about as good as any Power Ranger crossover.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sorry, Lord Zed messing with Time Stream. Is that any more weaker than, oh look, the Beetleborgs are on the moon?
Although, to be fair, with the different versions of the games, it changed which villain was messing with the time stream, didn't it?
Kind of. I mean, it's always Lord Zed. It's just on the DS, they put more emphasis on, I want to say, Grum.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. The story's okay. The voice acting, I didn't have a problem with the voice acting. And there's one reason why.
Why is that?
A lot of those characters included people like Trini, Billy, Kim. You're not going to get those original voice actors back.
No.
So what you're saying, we shouldn't have Billy, like Kimberly, Trini, or any of the other ones who wouldn't be able to come back? Plus, to be fair, a Power Ranger game, does not sell that well. It would lose the company money to get all these actors back for the voices. It makes
True.
sense. They
True.
could have got some slightly better voice actors, but it makes sense what they did. My
Right.
problem with Super Legends, in my opinion, Super Legends would have been an amazing Power Ranger game if it wasn't for the Zords.
I don't remember the Zords.
On the PC version, I haven't played the PS2 one. The PC one, the Zord battle is Para the Rapper, where you have to match the arrows to like the dance style beat to match up to the fight, so the monster will fight them at the same time. Which doing it on the PC with the arrow keys, yeah, it's annoying as hell.
Yeah, I don't
And
actually
also,
remember that.
that's on the PC one. I don't know how they do them on the PS2 one. On the DS one, you go inside a cockpit and you play as essentially a mech warrior style game.
Mhm.
Cool. That seemed cool. That seemed better than the PC one. It is. You can move around a lot easier. It's better controls, except for one control.
What's that?
In order
What's
to
that?
attack, you have to draw a line through the enemy's limb. In order to block, you have to draw a circle. The problem is whenever the enemies are in attack distance, they're right in front of the screen. So when you draw a circle, it constantly reads as a line through certain limbs because you have to draw a circle across the enemy. So half the time you can't defend instead to attack. It's like, no, I want to defend.
Hmm.
But still. However, I'll move on to my worst one then. My worst game is a SNES one.
Okay.
Power Rangers Zeo Battle Racers.
I had
Oh, God.
forgotten about that game.
So did I.
It wants so bad to be Mario Kart, and it's not. It's poor. It makes Super Legends look like fucking Batman Arkham City in comparison in terms of quality. It's that bad. That game's horrible. The controls are horrible. The fact that the Power Rangers are now just getting together to race with the villains and their friends makes zero sense for a Power Rangers Zero game. And it's just so bad. Everything on that game, even the mechanics are bad, even the sound effects. The best sound effect in that game is when you turn the menu on and you get the tune that's essentially without the words. Zia, Zia, bum 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 bum. However, when you get into the game, all the sound effects sounds basically like someone's taken the Mario Kart sound effects
Hmm.
and just run them through like a sound filter so they don't get sued.
I think a Power Rangers like kart racing style game would be awesome right now if they spanned it across all the things that you could get, like the Turbo Zords, like the fucking Raptor Riders from Dino Thunder. You get Rancic in his Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome Dune buggy. That'd be awesome.
If you want a game like that, I will suggest to you and all of the viewers or listeners at home, check out Mod Nation Racers on PS3. There
True.
is on that game the ability to make your own carts, the ability to make your own races. Yeah, that's coming out a little bit quite of a car, but this is different. This is like these solid figures and stuff. People have made on that game perfect looking like Green Ranger from Mighty Morphin and made him a custom car. You can download and just race them. How awesome is it that you can actually have a game where you could race like the Green Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, Batman, Scorpion, Jack and Daxter, anyone you want, you can race them. I even had a race once. It came from the wrestling. There's people from Power Ranger comics and stuff like that. Random ass people. It was hilarious.
Yep.
Interesting.
But that's not a Power Ranger
Coming
game.
soon to Little Big Planet near you.
Yeah, like I said, I was advertising Mod Nation Racers,
Yeah,
which
I know.
it's better for doing Power Ranger ones. And so that'll be the end for this Gaming Zone special for looking at Power Ranger games. And before we go, I would like to say he wasn't able to join us here today, but Rick the Hammer, aka the Stay at Home Dad Gamer, has left us a tweet. And I quote, at SHD Gamer says, at the X Pound, that's cool and all, and I'm going to let you finish, but Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on Sega CD was the greatest Power Ranger game of all time. Hashtag all time. So now we know Richter's favourite.
I guess. I'll
Indeed.
I'll have to slap him the next time I see him.
Yes, you will.
Indeed.
As always, I've been Chriz, aka the Mole, joined by my two less important friends, but no, joined by James Phoenix.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're not going to do your catchphrase?
They know I'm gonna rise from the ashes. Do I need to say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, will now rise from the ashes.
And Marcus Shadow.
Here, as always, to show you the light.
And as YouTube calls him, Market Shadow.
I'm not gonna say it, Mo.
Ah. Oh, come on, but when you...
Fine. I'm
Yeah.
gonna show you the light.
Yeah, that gives me a huge Star Trek. But I've been your host, Chris. I've been the Mole. See ya.